Welcome to The Real Study with your hosts, MrSniDBitS.
So like two teams with that movie, it seems like either people love it or they hate it. Okay, I do too. I do too.
Yeah. BlackGirlMarvel.
I cried laughing. That was hilarious.
Tylermakesfilms.
It's meant for us to kind of contemplate. Like, I don't think his response to me is completely appropriate. Like, it makes sense that he would react that way.
Allthemoviethings.
I think the thing why I enjoyed it more too was the fact that we were going to talk about it from this perspective.
Lieutenant Commander Ray.
I could watch them. I never find anything wrong with them. I love them every single time I watch them. And this absolutely qualifies on that list.
And me, the Real Study movie voice guy.
I probably would have been in love with this movie as well if I had watched it earlier, like when it came out, or maybe right after.
Let's go to the poster wall.
He's lying to us. Oh my gosh, the gaslighting.
The gaslighting is terrible. Welcome to The Real Study. My name is MrSniDBitS, and with me as always is BlackGirlMarvel. We do have Tylermakesfilms with us for the first time in a while. Welcome, Tyler. We love having you back. No Ray tonight. And of course, all the movie things will join us here soon. We had a miscommunication, which I think we all know can happen, and that's okay. We move on. Tonight we will be discussing not the movies that are sitting there on the wall, which is weird.
I was just about to say that.
Them.
Like, I was
That's
like, those
really
movies
weird because I did
wrong.
actually fix them, so I don't understand how that's sitting like that. But see, like magic, it's already correct, so it's okay. So we will be watching Wall Street this evening. And discussing Wall Street, and as well as you so screwed me up as we got in today. It's okay. Wall Street, as well as Saltburn, which everybody is buzzing about Saltburn. Also, look forward to the next 3 weeks. We will be discussing in detail all the Terminator movies. Terminator 2 will be next week. After that, we will be getting into Rise of the Machines, and then Terminator Salvation, and then the final week of January.
It will be Terminator City out here.
It will be, and then we'll get into Genesis and Dark Fate at the end. That said, why don't we see if there's any news that you guys are interested in talking about? I know that it's January, and this is without a doubt the slowest time of the year for movies. That's kind of a given. A lot of stuff on streaming because it was here for the fall, and all the Oscar and Golden Globes clickbait is out there. Speaking of the Golden Globes, that is this evening as well, so we may be throwing out a few predictions if we have them, but also a couple new films to talk about as well. So, anything you guys have that you wanted to bring up this evening, or we can get right to the films you guys watched this week? Sounds like there's nothing.
All I want to say is, when it comes to what the Golden Globes, because that's what's popping off right now.
Mm-hmm.
I really, really, really want Lily Gladstone to not only win Golden Globe, but I want her to win an Emmy. I mean, same thing. I want her to win an Oscar as well, because her performance. Now, mind you, I haven't seen all of the nominees. I'm heavily biased. But I don't know. I just think she killed it, figuratively speaking, because of what happens in the movie. But spoiler alert. But I think she did a great job. There's a subtleness and a very aggressive take to her acting that I don't know. I know what I'm saying are juxtaposed against each other, but it works somehow for her. Like, she has this very subtle way of acting, but it's a seriousness to it that's it catches you a little off guard. And I enjoyed her in Killers of the Flower Moon. And if I'm being honest, she might have been. Everybody was great. Don't get it wrong. Leo was great. Everybody was great. Robert De Niro was great, but she stood out to me. And so yeah, I need her to go ahead and get these wins. I need her to. I need all racism aside, and I need her to get these wins. For real. Because she's talented.
So I didn't realize that. So Scorsese finally did it. He put both of them in a movie together. His two number one guys.
Yes.
Ah.
So.
Yeah.
But weren't they in the movie together? Weren't they in The Departed together?
I don't think De Niro's in The Departed.
Okay. Well.
It's Nicholson that plays the main in Departed. They did do a
That's
movie
what I
together
heard.
that was a short where they were making fun of the fact that Scorsese picks both of them.
Yeah.
That
But yeah,
little
they
short from,
were.
like,
I was shocked to
2016 or whatever it
see.
was.
I was shocked to see Robert De Niro in this. Like, I was like thoroughly shocked because I didn't really see any trailers for this because I don't have
Right.
like regular TV like most people. So when I was in the theater and like the movie was playing and you see Leonardo DiCaprio, I'm like, yeah, I'm used to seeing him. Like, it's fine. It's Scorsese. It's fine. I understand that. And then I saw De Niro and I literally audibly went, he in this movie too? And I was like, forgot I was in a theater full of other humans. I had to calm myself down. But I was just very shocked to see him in this film too. And I was like, oh, okay, this film might be something. because I didn't know the history behind it. And I will say that's the one thing that I miss about films is me going out to see, like, is this true? Is this right? Is this, let me go, like, this film made me, Killers of the Flower Moon made me want to, like, I've researched the atrocities that happened in this town and what these people, and by people, and this is no offense to anybody, but this is what these white men, what this white society did to these I don't know, what are they called? I don't know what they're called. I don't want to disrespect anybody. I don't know if they're Native Americans, Indians. I don't know what they're called.
Native Americans is still the kind of considered appropriate, or if you know the name of the tribe.
Right, I don't remember the name of their tribe,
the Osage
so
tribe?
I don't know. I remember the.
I thought it was the Osage.
No, I think Osage is where they. I think Osage is where they were, but it might be. I would have to look it up.
Where they were is
anybody.
almost always named after a tribe in the area.
Their
like,
tribe,
as a rule
yeah.
in America,
So
like,
more likely it probably is. But I'll just say like Native Americans. Yeah. But I'll just say Native Americans. It's wild what like Europeans, what white people do just to have some money or just to feel as though they're on top of everything. And like, I don't want to turn this into anything political, but it's just wild that you can see that throughout our history of just like colonizers, of just taking from people and claiming that it's yours, or just the things that they were doing. Like, they were literally, these white men were all like in cahoots. One of my favorite words. We're all in cahoots with each other to marry Native American women, to have so that they can have kids, and then kill the mothers so that they could get the profits. Because in this society, the women held all the power. So if you wanted power, you didn't go to the men in the tribe, you went to the women of the tribe, because they're the ones that had all the power. They were the ones that like land passed down through them. So these white men would come marry these Native American women, love them for quite some time, raise the kids up a little bit. And then when they were tired of them, they would find ways to conveniently kill them and make it look like, oops,
right,
she was just drinking, or oops, she fell down, or oops, she got sick. And it was just, I was like, yo, this is wild. I was like, why would people, it made me like sick to kind of watch it a little bit, to like watch it, did to know that it actually happened. Like, it was just sickening to watch, and people just love to be like, this doesn't really happen anymore. And it's like,
it does.
Okay.
There's a lot of instances, even within the last 100 years, where that kind of stuff happens.
Yes.
Not just to Native Americans, and it is the Osage tribe, by the way. So that was
Osage tribe. Thank you, sir.
Mm-hmm. I'm looking forward to watching that movie. I know it's going to be hard to watch. I know there's going to be elements, but it's going
to be hard. But it's still
on
a good
Apple,
film, though.
like either today or tomorrow. Like, it's just about to drop, so it'll be.
Okay. I haven't seen it yet, too.
So, you guys have a couple other movies that you guys watched recently. Why don't we give Tyler a couple of minutes on the what was it that you said you watched? You saw.
I think Law saw it too. I saw Godzilla -1.
Mm-hmm.
Loved it, especially if you like watched, like, no spoilers, but like if you watch the original, it has a lot of like great nods to that,
to the 54 version.
Yeah, especially like when the score comes in.
No, it does. Yeah,
that's nice.
Yeah, and like how Godzilla moves and everything too.
Yeah,
like how he's portrayed.
Nice.
I didn't like it. I mean, I didn't like that part of it. I was like, speed up, sir. I was like, speed up. I'm afraid of you. Why? I could run faster than you're walking. But I also understood that the budget, like I said in my review, the budget was less than 15 million. So
I was like,
okay.
For less than 50. Like, okay, see, but the thing is, like, 15.
Sorry, my 50s and my 15s kind of come up.
God,
so 15,
notes.
Yeah, less than 15,
America.
and I think it grossed. I think it grossed like a dumb amount, like a stupid amount.
And then they got
So-
like the same, like the Mad Max, like Fury Road treatment. They're like, now it's in black and white.
Oh, they did
Like,
the black
yeah,
and white.
they got a
the
black and
silver-
white.
the
Yeah,
silver
they
version.
got
That's
yeah.
great.
I low key wouldn't mind watching that in black and white. Black and white might be one of my favorite.
You said
things
low
in
key.
life.
I
Black and
love
white.
it. I'm sorry. Okay, so you also
honestly-
said you watched Poor Things. Is that right, Tyler?
Poor thing.
Yes.
Yeah, tell
Poor
us about
Things.
How
Poor
was that?
Things.
Without spoiling anything, I was talking to you before a little bit about it. It's like I don't know how to describe this movie, and that's kind of what this movie is. It's like it's
I
such
dig
a
that.
weird, disturbing, also beautiful. Like I think it's one of the, if not the best shot movie of last year.
Really?
I think it's a
Mm.
last year release. I think it's considered because I think it was like out, but way before, like a couple of months ago or whatever. It was buzzing for a while, and then it finally got its wide release. like,
Yeah.
right around Christmas time.
I will call that a 2023 film.
Yeah.
Just like Godzilla,
Well, if
even
it's
though it's
released
still fresh
in the
and new,
year.
it's still a 2023. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
still a
it counts.
2023 film.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So did Emma kill it? Like I'm hearing, like she did it.
Yeah, it's weird. I thought she like kind of fell off the map for me, at least. Like I wasn't really like, I think, like I love her in like La La Land and all that stuff. But I think this is like one of her like, I don't know, the character's like so fleshed out in this, and like her, I think her little quirks and the way that she like approaches characters like so specific. I don't know. I don't even know how to explain it. Like I don't think anyone could have done it the way that she did it.
Interesting.
And I think Yorgos Lanthimos is probably now he's like my watched like direct. Like I like
Your
Wes
watched
Anderson and
director?
stuff,
Yeah.
but like Wes Anderson kind of like I can only take so much of that, and like it's very white. I don't know how to explain it. Yorgos, and then with Yorgos, it just feels like let's get weird. Like let's just get like whatever you think is the weirdest thing, he'll go like 1,000
bit
miles
further.
beyond that.
I like that. I'll have to watch it then. I've been excited.
I
to
love
give
that.
it a-
I think
give it a
it's-
watch.
Yeah, it actually was at my theater, and I was super shocked because
Right.
my theater doesn't really get like a lot of limited release type stuff. So when I saw for my birthday, it was an option to go see it. But I wasn't in the right space. So I was like, I can't go see Poor Things right now because I'm not in the right space. But hopefully it's still there, like maybe like Tuesday or something, and I can go see it. But because I'm very curious, because I wanted to see like Mark Ruffalo, and I wanted to see like
Well, the way that
you know, how
Ruffalo
he
is
did
talking
it.
about
So-
Emma Stone is what's making me want to watch it. Like he is out there just, or has been
Right,
out there
but the
just singing
way
her praises.
the way that Robert Downey Jr. talked about Mark Ruffalo in this
Right?
film, because they did actors on actors. When he talked, the way Robert Downey Jr. talked about Mark Ruffalo, I was like,
I
gotta go
never
see this
thought
film.
Ruffalo
Like,
was gonna be more than just another like kind of character actor. Like I
I've been
always thought he was just
obsessed.
gonna be just another guy, but
Yeah.
he's either learned to have more range or has always had it and never been able to flex it. I can't tell which, but
I
it's
feel
one or
like
the
he's always had it, because I've been a big Mark Ruffalo fan for quite some time now. I feel like he's always had it, but he had to pay those like weird movie dues or like those rom-com dues before they would allow him.
Come on, the
'cause it's
one
all
with him and
politics.
Reese
It's all, like-
Witherspoon, Just Like Heaven, isn't it? Just Like Heaven. I think that's what it's called.
Yes, I love that film.
It's a fun
Ugh,
film.
I love that film so much.
seen that. I've not seen that.
Oh my god, Tyler!
I know.
It's one of my favorites. It's one of my favorites.
It's a super
man.
rom
It's such a
com,
like
but
a
it's supernatural.
it's
So it's
such a-
kind of cool.
yeah. So it's just it's right here in the heartstrings, man.
So
yeah.
Aina gave us access because we're special to her movie library.
Yeah.
And I noticed she had Simply Irresistible on there as a rom com, and that's
Simply
another
Irresistible.
supernatural rom com where Sarah Michelle Gellar can cook food with magic, essentially, kind of. Very interesting, and it's got Sean Patrick Flannery is the love interest, which is interesting because this was pre-accident before his career kind of shifted due to what happened, and he was still kind of the
go-to guy.
He was one,
guy.
yeah. He was like because he was handsome, I guess. I don't know what else to say, but anyway,
Right.
Yeah.
So that's another one I think of.
Yeah.
La, you said you also watched The Color Purple that came out on Prime. Is
Yes.
that correct?
Prime.
Is that
No.
Was it in theater then?
Yeah, it was in
Okay,
theaters.
because I thought I had seen it listed on Prime. That's weird. Go tell us about The Color Purple.
I mean, it could be now. I mean, it came out
the
on
original,
Christmas,
maybe?
but
Oh.
yeah, maybe the original. But like, I watched the. I had to explain this to a lot of people. This is not a remake of the film. This is an adaptation of the Broadway play.
So this is what they're doing with Mean Girls, But they did it with the color purple.
But they did with the color purple.
Okay.
Yes.
Makes sense.
So
that's why it went under the radar, and that's why the cover
Yes.
is a little bit more
That makes a lot of sense.
glamorous.
Yes,
because
a little bit more like
yeah,
yeah.
because the poster.
Because at first, when you look at the poster, you're like,
yeah, everybody looks
Color
happy
Purple
on
to
that
Spielberg,
poster.
dude.
What?
Like,
It
yeah.
is not okay. Nobody should be happy in this movie. This is not a happy movie.
And like I said, I always plug myself. I did do a spoiler-free and a spoiler-filled review of this. It is the spoiler-free one is on my TikTok and Instagram. The spoiled one is on my YouTube. So if you want to check it out, go to different places and check it out. But
Also,
I'll make it
real quick, please do follow BlackGirlMarvel on all social media as well as the rest of the Real Study. But you always plug everything for us.
As
I thought
always.
I'd give it to you as well.
Oh well, thank you, sir.
Of
I
course.
appreciate
And it is on. If you want to watch this, it is on Prime.
It is. It is on Prime. I'm sure it drops. I was like, I'm sure it drops. But I think that's kind of shady that it's like January and it's already on Prime. But whatever. Who am I to say anything?
It will be.
Okay, I'll say. Okay, no, you're fine. I'll say this. I love musicals. I do. I love them to death. And I love this because it has some great songs in it, has some great moments in it. But because of the sensitivity of the topics that are in the themes that are in this film, sometimes for me, the singing took me out of the seriousness that is this film. Not to say that I still didn't cry, not to say that I still didn't be like, oh my God, like not to say any of these things, but it's hard to go from like Celie getting slapped to like, hey, I'm just like, you know what I mean? And I'm not saying that that's exactly how it went. Like she got slapped and then somebody started singing, but it's still like that type of, I kind of went back and forth in it a little bit, but overall, like the acting was top notch from everybody. Fantasia was amazing. I still see some like like she could tighten up a little bit with the acting, but it's one of those things where it's like I get it, she's new to this. Like even though she did do it on Broadway, but Broadway and film is two different things.
Yeah.
So so I still see but I still think it's a great story. I still think they added new things to it that'll make you remember the original, but not make you be like, oh, they just copied the original, because there are moments where like in the original film you don't get to see what Celie goes through, right? She kind of quiet, she just takes everything, she kind of eats it until like all the way at the end. In the musical version and the Broadway adaptation, you get to see her stuff play out in song, essentially. Like how she's feeling plays out in song, and so you get to see like what's inside her brain. And I think that was a cool aspect that they added to this film, because in the original, the whole time I'm like, yo, what is she thinking? Like, what is going on?
Right. I agree.
like I know it can't be good stuff, but it's still like you want to know that from your lead, even though Whoopi played that part great. But in this one, you like stuff will happen to her, and then it'll be like the scene will turn, and you'll see her like inside a dream world. It was kind of like giving like Harley Quinn when she killed people, and you see like butterflies, and you see what's kind of like going on her head. Like you don't see blood, you see like flowers and stuff like that. So like it was kind of giving that type of aspect. But I still think everybody should go see it. I think it was the moments that were happy. The moments that wasn't, Lord have mercy, they weren't. And this one had way more comedy and levity in it than the first one, which I think separates the two in a way. I don't think you'll miss anything watching either of them, but I think you'll gain a lot watching them both.
Okay.
If you haven't before. But I enjoyed it.
And be ready to cry. Like a lot.
Oh no. I was in the theater like, oh my God. Oh. Ugh.
You looking around like
anybody else?
I sweat from my eyelids. I don't know what to tell you. It's the weirdest thing.
No, all the time. Yeah. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah. No, look, it's coming from above. It's not coming from in my eyes. It's coming from my eyelids. I'm telling you.
No. It's like it's coming from the sides, both of the sides, the corners of the sides. I don't. That's it.
Okay. That sounds like a good endorsement on both of the films that were watched this week. As I was telling Tyler before the show, I've watched a lot of older films, but they've been around for 100 years. So if you haven't seen,
but what's one of the best older films you've seen?
The good one that I've seen was Island of the Lost Souls, 1932. It's an adaptation of an H.G. Wells novel, and it is phenomenal for its era. It actually still holds up. There's definitely, go to the 30s, you're still going to run into misogyny. You're still going to run into some of the, definite things that are just built. They're like built in, like there's no getting out of them. But the film's performances, the concepts, there's an eerie nature to the film that definitely shows through, even though it's like not one of the first, but I mean, there were only like maybe 50 talkies at that point. That was very new, even at
Shout out to talkies. So, I wish we would have kept that.
So I literally, I love the fact that they call them movies. Could almost fits because it's moving, so it's movies, and it's kind of lame.
Yeah,
we never think of it that way because we've used the word our whole lives, but it's a lame name for what we're watching. Film is a way cooler name, I think. But even that's not great. Cinema, that's what I like. That's the best word.
Cinema is great, right. But I love talkies because like, they were silent films before. Like
all film was silent. So when they got this new thing, they were like,
I love it. So it's like talkies, I love it. Or like Legend of Korra, like Barrick, he was like movers. He called them movers.
What I was telling Tyler as well is if I had been born in, let's say, 1905 and 1925 comes around and I'm like seeing movies in theaters, you've seen a few things that existed, but then like Lon Chaney and the Phantom of the Opera comes out, I still probably have been like, what is this movie craze everybody's all into? Like, I probably would not have been
honestly,
a fan.
I feel like there were billions of people that were probably like, this won't last.
Right. Right. That's a perfect.
What is this?
Yes, that's exactly right.
This won't last. And then it's like, it lasted this long?
I would bet you, even with the horror movies of the 30s, oh, this is a fad. These will go. Those monsters, nobody will care eventually. Weirdly enough.
Yeah, but you were saying earlier too, we're kind of in like a different version, like a modern version of that now, where people are kind of just like,
people are burnt out about the MCU and the DCEU. But if you don't think that with Universal doing what it did with movie monsters for literally 20 years, and then Hammer picked it up and kept running with it for another 20, if you don't think there were other companies trying to make the same films with different names, just like Marvel and DC, then you're not paying attention to movie history, and this is not new. Nothing about the movie landscape is new.
You can go to the dollar store right now, like a Family Dollar or Dollar Tree, wherever a dollar store got movies and things like that, and you can see like recreations or like bootleg versions of other films, and you're like,
but they've been doing that.
How did y'all get away with that?
Since the beginning.
No, they've been doing that since the beginning of time. So it's like one of those things where people are like, well, how could they get all mad about it? And it's like, it's been happening. What you mad about?
Since we're on the topic, this makes me want to bring this up because I think it's really interesting. So the first two major filmmakers before we got into studios, but these were just like the pioneers, right? Were Georges Méliès and a Spanish filmmaker named Chamon. And Méliès, right? That's what I always think. Méliès came first, right? He was a French director that came first. And then Chamon was a Spanish director that kind of went, oh, look at what that guy's doing. And what's crazy is if you watch their films, Chamon was like ripping Méliès off constantly. But so was Edison. So like Edison literally stole La Luna Le Voyage dans la Luna and just brought it to the US and stole it. So there's a lot of this, like they were just ripping each other constantly. If you watch,
it's giving The Office,
right? But even like The Voyage dans la Luna, Chamon made that movie, and it's got a bullet that's being shot to the moon. It's got wizards. It's got literally everything the Méliès movies had, and I'm just like, what?
I love it.
You guys are, I don't know. Sorry, I've been in a movie history lately.
Man, the greatest artist.
I mean, we've been doing that since the dawn of time. I mean, look at because like this whole resurgence thing that happened with A Living Single and Friends.
Right. One started before the other,
like,
but
y'all didn't know,
right?
You didn't know, and it's like all Black people knew, and black people that watch both, as me, I watch Living Single and I watch Friends. Rip off is what it is. Right. Rip off, yes, that's all. Yeah.
So don't fret about the MCU is kind of my point. And I think you guys agree with me. It's okay. Like next new fad will eventually hit. Just wait, it'll happen. Whether you like it or not.
I feel like But also, I feel like the only reason people are saying superhero fatigue or tired of the MCU or tired of superhero films is because the media has narrated that.
Agreed.
I really don't think anybody's tired of superhero films. Like, I really do not think so. I think people are tired of not having compelling characters in these superhero films like we did in the beginning. Right? In the beginning, you told me about Iron Man and Captain America and Thor, even Black Widow to a certain extent. You know what I mean? You told me about these characters. I get to watch their growth.
Right.
Now you just expect everybody just to know stuff, and you just like, here you go.
Here's 4 characters in one movie, and it's not even their backstory. They're already involved, or their backstory is limited to 5 minutes.
Exactly. So how can I relate to these people? How can I cling to these people if you don't build them up for people for me to care about? Because I think that's why people like Kamala Khan, because we get to see her like as a kid, like love Captain Marvel, to when you get to the Marvels, no spoilers, she gets to meet her hero, but she also gets to learn that like this superhero stuff is cute, but it's real at the same time, right? And so that makes her a compelling character to watch, because you get to watch her. But you don't get stuff like that no more. You get.
I was going to make that argument actually, based on what you said.
Monica turned into a thing immediately, and I'm just like, we couldn't grow with her. Okay.
There's so many TV shows though that have been done by Marvel that they've already now laid the groundwork for all these characters, because we got full-blown origin stories for each one with 6 to 8 episodes. So if they hurry up, make some movies, now they could go and change these characters as they grow. And we get to know them. Because I would love to see She-Hulk do something,
using the TV format to their advantage. So, like, you got all this time to
honestly, that would have been great. That would have been great, Ty. That would have been great. You guys,
like, they kind of screwed up Wanda, just saying. I'm not gonna
but they like
honestly, no, I take it back.
I don't know.
I wouldn't say they screwed up Wanda. Well, no, I do say they kind of did, but I say Sam Raimi screwed up Wanda because he didn't watch WandaVision before he created Doctor Strange in the Multiverse.
They let him get away with that.
He watched and no, I know, and that's why I blamed them all. They all get blamed for that.
I don't blame a director. I can't know. See, I can't blame a director for doing what their vision is. It's the studio's responsibility, if that vision sits within a universe, to reel that fucking person in. And if they don't, I blame the studio. Sam Raimi is a good director and can just make crazy shit.
I feel like
he's gonna, unless you reel him in.
I feel like it's all of their responsibilities. The company should be on them for the integrity of what their characters are, of what they put out. Yes. But also, if I'm a director that takes what I do seriously, I'm going to go back to the source material to watch or read or whatever I need to do to know the character in which I'm dealing with, so that when I put her on screen or put him on screen or whoever, I'm doing it justice.
But
I feel like that's still your responsibility.
Just because he didn't watch WandaVision doesn't mean he doesn't know Scarlet Witch or the comics or the characters.
No, but he doesn't though, because we're not doing the comics. We're doing MCU's Wanda.
Yeah, they mix them still. They still constantly like churn them.
Right, through. but you still have to see what they did before. To kind of know where you're going to go when you're going to go.
I agree.
After. But
he should have watched it. I agree. He should have watched it. I blame the studio for not making him. That's just where I'm at. That's just me. So
I blame everybody.
That's fair. Who do you blame, Tyler? We haven't heard. Who does Tyler blame, if anyone?
Who you blame, Ty?
Everyone.
Okay.
Come on,
well, it's just the thing. Like, that's the thing. They should just be consistent with, like, if you're gonna decide to just do whatever, then do that. If you're gonna decide to make it consistent with the MCU, just do that.
Then I agree.
I'm gonna do both.
100% agree.
It doesn't make sense. Like,
I still like that movie, but I'm one of the rare ones. So.
I like elements of that movie. I felt like if they would have added a little bit more detail into Wanda's character, it would have made sense why she is this way. But it was so like artsy that people didn't realize that it was a dark hole that pretty much drove her crazy, that made her obsessed with wanting to get her kids. Nobody saw that. They were just like, oh, Wanda could do whatever she wants. She does enslave people because she's sad, and it was just like, y'all not getting any of these things, any of these nuances.
That's fair.
And stuff.
I think for me, the reason I like the film, and this is how film bias works, because you can have recency bias and other things. For me, I watched so many shithole Sam Raimi films for several years, Oz and Spider-Man 3, and that when he made this, I was like, oh, a good Sam Raimi film. Okay, I'm happy. Like, I was actually just happy to see him produce something I liked.
Oh, I get that.
So maybe that's what it is. As I didn't care that it was part of the MCU. I was just like, cool, something good from Raimi. I liked the dark zombie aspect of things. I don't know. That's just me.
Yeah, there's cool stuff.
We do have two films that we got to
stuff.
talk about, and so if we want to get into Saltburn with some detail, which I'm sure we do, and I know we want to have Brian join us as soon as possible. Let's get to Wall Street so that we can actually.
But real quick before we get to Wall Street, one more thing. Aina talked about how she's excited for Echo, the TV series Echo.
Yeah,
I'm super excited for Echo.
Isn't it out now?
That's gonna be
Didn't
great.
it just hit?
No, I think it comes out on the 9th. The 9th.
I didn't know it was gonna be like R-rated. Like,
yeah, I'm happy
Disney's,
for that. Listen,
yeah, I'm not because now I got to make my kids an actual kids like.
Yeah.
When I didn't before.
I'm excited because because it's not just kids watching this. I understand that it's under the Disney moniker, but it ain't just kids watching this.
No, I know
so
now.
You have to.
But when Disney Plus started, it was pretty much for kids. Like there was some Marvel stuff.
Oh, for sure.
But I didn't have to worry about Deadpool or like all of a sudden my daughter put on Prey.
Oh, I know.
My daughter put on Prey. Okay, so I was like, okay, no Prey. No Hulu. And it was like they didn't announce it. I didn't get an email. I didn't get anything to say that Hulu was going to be added. And then all of a sudden my daughter could access this crap. So now I don't have a choice because if she watches Prey, she'll be up all night. Like she'll just be up all night. And I can't have that.
But see, as a person who like, I've been a part of Disney since I can like remember breathing, type of thing. So like you have to grow with your audience. You can't always like retract back to being it's a new crop of kids.
As a parent,
and
they just need to make it more obvious.
No.
That's all I'm saying.
Oh no. I'm not knocking it for you. I'm just speaking for me. Like how you feel is 100% great. But I'm just speaking for me. Like I love the fact that they're making more like mature R-rated stuff because it's just like, and I don't want it to be R-rated in a sense where it's like gratuitous and it's like gross and it's like whatever. But like, let's be adults about this. You got all these grown people in these movies and they PG-13 and it's like you got the Winter Soldier that was murdering people, but it's PG-13. Still good films.
You can murder people off screen.
But it's just one of those things where it's like, let's grow up a little bit. I mean, Deadpool did. He kind of put
Captain America would punch someone in the chest. I'm like, that guy's dead. Like, 100%.
Oh yeah, Captain America. That one kick. Also, they didn't know how to time his running in that scene. I'm frustrated as hell by he goes into the tunnel and then you're like, oh, he's out a little faster than he was running. That doesn't make any sense. Like, who didn't like?
That's hilarious.
Get somebody that knows a little bit of math to just do the work. Like that's all you got to do.
These are the videos I want you to start doing to just be like, so nobody notice the time. Nobody noticed the quick run.
Drives me nuts. You want me to pick the MCU apart? I guess I could do that. There are some nitpicks I could do.
That's great content. Love it.
So let's pick this movie apart since we're gonna do that. Who had seen Wall Street before this week?
I have not.
Okay. Kind of makes sense. This is a 1985 Oliver Stone film. This is at the height of Reaganomics. This is at the height of very pro-capitalism 1980s. So this movie coming out in a sense, like now this movie doesn't really like it hits if you're paying attention, but it's not gonna hit the way it did in 85. Because when this movie came out, people were like, oh, he's calling out all the Wall Street guys. He's calling out all these brokers and whatnot, who were basically looked at as like gods.
Wall Street never sleeps, man.
Right. Yeah, let's turn that into a sequel. By the way, if you like this movie, don't watch the sequel. Let me just get that out there right now. There's one with
Shia LaBeouf. Or
it is, and he plays the whatever. It's beyond like pointless. It's not even like that. It's worse than that. It's not even fun. Like it's dumb.
They bring his kid because his son committed like suicide off screen or something like that. They said like he killed himself, but then the daughter is a part of this, and then she dates pretty much somebody that's very similar to her daddy, but she hate her daddy. Why you dating this man then?
Right.
If that's the case, that don't
the
even
guy
make no
wants
sense.
to get in with Gecko because he's dating Gecko's daughter.
Right, because he's Gecko's daughter, played by I think it's Carey Mulligan, just like from
but it's weird because it's not. I don't know it. Anyway, let's talk about this movie. This is a much better movie to talk about. So since neither of you had seen it before, we'll go youngest first for no reason other than I just decided. So Tyler, what did you think of Wall Street, Oliver Stone?
Kind of like, I mean, when we talked about it earlier, kind of like what I saw Law like talk about it on her Discord. She was kind of like, oh, it kind of was kind of slow, and I was kind of watching it, and I was like, I kept having to like give it give it chances. I was like, no, I get it. Like, okay, this is cool. Like, we're stocks, whatever. I don't really understand it, but like, it seems intense.
No facts. I was like 10 and 3-6. I don't know what this is.
That's the guy from Scrubs. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Who always played that guy in the 80s. He was always the like shit talking, loudmouth friend. Oh,
He's
like
good at
always.
it,
He is. He's excellent at it. But that was
that's
his
what he
thing.
played in Scrubs. Like
I know. But like in Scrubs, he was
I
a
love
little
it.
more over the top, and he had like kind of a little more swag. In these, he was just like, I don't know.
And I was
Anyway.
distracted constantly. Okay, the production design, costume design is great. There's that one guy that looks like I was like, hey, he's dressed like Jonah Hill is dressed like that guy in Wolf of Wall Street.
Mhm.
He looks exactly like that.
With the in the slick back and the
I was like, I get the references. Gordon Gekko. I was like, yeah, BoJack Horseman. Like I remember, I know this. Yeah, I had to keep like focus. You're watching Wall Street, 1970.
1902.
We were talking about
right?
the Frank Sinatra intro when that song pops up in the very beginning, and I was just like, I'm down for a good Frank Sinatra like opening title sequence, whatever it is.
Mhm.
And like, okay, cool, I see New York and stuff. But as the movie goes on, like I kept going back to that intro, and I was like, why? Why did they do that? Like it was such a weird choice that has nothing to do with the rest of this movie, but like we went with it, I guess. No, but I was kind of entertained. Like I didn't watch a lot of like Charlie Sheen things. Charlie Sheen kind of reminds me of Balt Getty, like Balthazar Getty, and like his sort of like the way he acts.
Oh,
I don't know if like, they're all
that's
similar, right?
perfection. Oh my
Right?
god, Tyler. Oh,
Just the style. I was like, this really.
that
I
is
feel like he
so
could have played this.
good.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do I need to look him
That's
up
so
now
good.
because I swear I know
sorry.
that name.
That is so good, Ty. That is so good.
I don't mean to like name drop, but that's the guy I work for. So like, I have to watch all his like.
That's why.
Oops. Okay. Oops.
Like,
You know, just a little bit. Oops.
I knew
all that
the
old
name.
money.
I'm like,
Oh.
I know this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys watched I think Feast was one of the movies.
Yeah, he's in that.
Yeah.
Oh, he was in Charmed, man. That's where he was in Charmed,
yeah,
and
yeah.
then he was in Charmed, and then he was in Brothers and Sisters on that TV show Brothers and Sisters with Calista Flockhart and like all of them.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
He's I mean I've been watching him for quite some time now.
But I could have seen him in this movie. I was like, I feel like he could have played it
I agree.
similarly,
I agree.
or even I don't know, even better. I don't know. I'm not like connected to Charlie Sheen in any way, so I don't really like. I'm not like on his whatever.
But you
Anyway,
watched-
movie was
mid. Yeah. Well.
the sound design would take me out constantly. I loved it, but I also like in a funny way. It wasn't because it like did any favors for the movie. There'd be a part where like they'd zoom in on like the old like what IBM like computer like digital thing with their stocks and stuff, and like pew, 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 pew. And then it'll cut to the next thing and like
They all had the
I don't
great
know why they
clicky
did like
keyboards,
that.
though. They had the really awesome
Yeah.
clicky
that was
80s
good.
keyboards.
The Foley artist, great job. Like you killed it. Yeah, like that. You're like, oh man, they're doing something.
Oh man, the clickety clacks are clacking. Oh my god.
They're clacking away. I ain't never heard a clack like this.
I know, right? That's real clacking, y'all. That's real. That's real. They not acting right there. That's real. That's real clickety clack.
And I just,
Wow.
I for me, because I don't keep up with like stocks or anything. I'm not like good at any of that. I'm a millennial. Like no one taught me. And like I'm just
No,
watching
facts.
this. I'm like, he's like $20 billion in the drain. You got to give it like 59. I'm like, I'm sure that's great. Whatever he's talking about. I don't know. I'm sure it's like intense. I don't know what I'm supposed to be like. So it was hard for me to watch like the progression of the intensity of this movie. Like I don't
Right. Like the business side of it was kind of like, I don't care really. Like it could have been echoes in the background.
shoot. I'm just
as much as
working a minimum wage job.
I understand because I get where you guys are coming from, but it feels
But it
after they
hurts.
do it
That's
for a
what
while,
hurts.
it feels inferred. I feel like they slowly kind of let you.
Yeah.
You eventually
Yeah,
kind of
yeah, it
understand.
does.
Oh, okay,
It
you did get one up on him because he did what they did
Right.
to the other guy. Like, yeah, well, windshield.
Yeah, you
wipers,
start getting it
apparently,
in
so-
context. You start getting it in context because if one looks sad and one looks happy, you know what happened. I just don't know how you got there. I just
There's a good example. Maybe we should have watched Working Girl with this because they're both in the 80s. They're both about business. They're both about, this kind of era. And
That one. Yeah.
I like that.
I've never seen Working Girl.
Real?
So add that to the list, Diana. I've never
See,
seen Working Girl.
that's-
I've heard
that's
about it. I've never
Sigourney-
seen it.
That's, Sigourney, like peak Sigourney, like right there at Working Girl.
Not Ripley.
Cool.
Not
Well,
Alien?
but like in
mean-
this, it's interesting because in this, she goes for like more businesswoman, which is really not the way you see Sigourney, honestly, like in most roles. She's either Dana Barrett or she's Ripley or she's something.
Yeah. I felt like peak Sigourney was Cabin in the Woods. I'm just saying.
But that, I swear that character is a tad working girl. Like, I swear. There's a, like, she brought that character back a little bit. Because she was like the serious businesswoman. Like, she was even wearing the you know, skirt pantsuit. It was a pantsuit, but it had the skirt. So yeah, that's just me. Law, did I ask you what you thought of Wall Street already, or you kind of both just? What'd you think? No.
I was just feeding off a tie.
Right.
Follow me down to Wall Street, you guys. Okay, let me start off by saying that Oliver Stone has some very interesting shots in this that I enjoyed. I like the book ending of having Gordon Gekko in two different types of dark lighting to show where he is. So like when they first did that dark lighting, it was very devilish because like all the black was behind him and his face was showing and he was like, yeah, got me one. And then the next time he does that, he's in all black and you don't get to see him because like he's like underneath like all of the stuff now. So I like that they play with the lighting in this. I wouldn't expect something like that from like a 1987 film to like.
Well, Stone was known to be a little different. Like, I mean, think about even just 10 years later, he did Natural Born Killers, which was very, you know, two types of film, very unique. You've never seen Natural Born Killers? You have not basically seen Oliver Stone films, is what it sounds like.
Yes.
I saw parts of Natural Born Killers.
Not that I think we should necessarily watch Natural Born. It is. Robert Downey Jr. and Woody Harrelson are.
Right, we could probably do like an Oliver Stone week or something like that. But it's one of those things where it's like 1997. Like, no, I wouldn't have watched that in 1997.
Well, it was 95 actually, so you would have been 10.
That's even worse.
Yeah, no, and I saw it when I was 17 and probably shouldn't have. I should have waited even a couple more years. But
don't get it twisted. I watched a lot of stuff. But my thing is, if my daddy didn't watch it, if it wasn't in the household, I didn't get to see it, and then I wasn't going to movies, you know, by myself in 95 to go see movies. Stuff.
See, in 95, that was 95. I was like, absolutely. That's when I was like, I'll watch whatever the hell.
No,
I want,
for sure.
I was turning 18.
But I just find that interesting. I like when I go back and I watch films in like 80s films and stuff like that, and I get to see like maybe where people got their style from, or where people,
or what the world was like when you were born,
or what. Right. No, for sure. I love 80s films are my favorite films. And I think it's because I was born in the 80s.
Right.
So it takes me back to like when I was growing up, but like
you remember,
not really knowing
you remember the way people were dressing. You remember the kind of feel. 70s films for me, when I watch them, I'm like, oh yeah, we did wear way too much of those bell bottoms.
I'm obsessed with the 80s. John Hughes films are my jam. Okay.
John Hughes is great.
Jam. I love John Hughes film. I want to be a black female John Hughes. Like that's what I want to be. Like that.
So you need to make up a fake city in Michigan.
Okay.
That's step one.
What else?
Because you need Sherman, Illinois, but in Michigan. Yeah. And then you need to come up with, a series of events that'll happen in that town, and then each of those events is a film.
Got you. Done and done.
That's literally all John Hughes, and I don't mean it in a negative way. It's a brilliant move. Like I think he did a brilliant thing by setting all these films in this fake town. By setting it up with what he just basically pulled from his roots. All the movie
and you can
stuff
do whatever
about
you want in this fake town because who's going to say anything to you?
Right.
This is my fake town.
Well, Jay and Silent Bob might come after you for not having Sherman, Illinois, because they went looking for it. So be aware that they might come looking for you.
That's okay, because that's another film. Okay, it's another film.
Dogma 2, directed by
you. Ooh, Fly Harrison. I can do it. Listen, I'm Christian. I can do it, man. I got all kind of stuff to tap into.
Co-directed. I'm sorry, but, Kevin would have to be a part of it, but you could co-direct with him.
You know what? You're right. He can still come on. I need that Catholicism that he has. Like I need some of that in there.
But you guys would have to go like more like mainstream Christian this time instead of the Catholicism because he covered that.
No, for sure. Yeah. But I still want some of his elements in there. You know what I'm saying? Maybe
the poop monster
religions. Maybe we pull from all religions. You know what I mean? The poop monster always makes me think of Justice League Dark when there was a poop monster in Justice League Dark. I was like, somebody likes Kevin Smith films.
They made poop heroes in the 90s, like action figures.
Oh,
I digress.
No.
So
what is this?
Nobody asked for that.
I had seen.
Hey! I'm not finished.
Oh.
Hey! Calm down. I'm not finished. So, I don't know. It makes me want to check into like more Oliver Stone films because I'm very curious on like just
Watch
his
Platoon.
style and all that kind of stuff. Because this was very like interesting to watch. Like some of the scenes, like when what's his name? When Charlie Sheen's character feels like he's on the phone with him. He's like, if I was you, I would just sell that close up of like the side of his face. And you just see his eyes in that scene while he's on the phone talking. I was like, that's a beautiful shot.
The one where he's like chewing
shot.
on the pin with the phone over his shoulder and it's panning by him. I thought that was, there were several of those.
It was a lot of those shots
of Wall Street from this
movie.
For
sure. And for me, I was just like, I think I paid attention to that a little bit more than I did the story, if I'm being honest. I was like, oh, look at these shots. Oh, look at this lighting. I was like, oh yeah, they talking. I got to pay attention to the words they're talking about. Martin Sheen and Michael Douglas, I think they did an amazing job. I think one of the coolest things is that you get to act against your father. And the scene with Martin Sheen and Charlie Sheen at the pub or whatever, I felt like they weren't acting like halfway through.
Yeah, it was part of like something they had already dealt with in their lives. I felt like
it was just a father and a son having a conversation. And I'll end it with this. I thought it was nice, but I'll end it with this. I think it's so weird that Charlie Sheen and Emilio Estevez are brothers, but they don't look alike, but they both look like their daddy. So when I look at Martin Sheen, I not only see Charlie, but I also see Emilio.
So here's the thing. Get a picture of Martin midlife, so 40s, and then look at Emilio now and look at Charlie then.
I've seen it.
But I think that when he was a kid, Emilio looked like his mom, and I think Charlie's starting to look like his mom.
Now starting to look like his dad. Yeah. They just switch. But you could see both of them in Martin Sheen's face. 100%. And I just think that's amazing, but they don't look like each other to me. Like you could see that like they might have started off that way, but then it was like, but you could see like the other DNA as they got older. But it's just weird that you could see both of them in their dad's face. I just think that was
when they don't look alike. I totally hear you. My daughters don't look alike, and they but yet they still do both look alike, or both look like my wife. It's really weird.
Exactly. It's one of those moments, and I was just kind of like, I just kept staring at Martin Sheen's character.
This took me the longest time to figure out, but so Martin Sheen is his stage name. Like he picked that name to be on stage, and so Charlie's like, well, I'm gonna take Dad's stage name and run with it. Estevez is the family name. Emilio was like, I'm going to take my family name and we're going to run with it.
Yep.
So it is bizarre that they did that, but But I love that if you watch enough movies, you'll realize you get to see Emilio and Charlie act together in several movies. You got Young Guns, you got Working Men, which is Working Men is such a tremendous film, and it's Keith David's like early but
not for being a working girl and a working man. Girls can't have nothing. God.
Right. And then you get to see Charlie and Martin in this movie, which is tremendous. But what I loved and what I thought about when I was watching this, I was like, oh yeah, that's right. Martin and Michael Douglas acted together again in The American President, and they played best friends. So it's funny in this movie where they play completely opposed people, and then in the next movie they're together, they're playing like literally best friends. Martin Sheen's his chief of staff to Michael Douglas. Anyway,
what did you think of Wall Street?
So the first time I saw this movie, I was
billionth time.
No, this is like my third ever. I used to really be a big fan of Oliver Stone, and I've kind of, there's a lot of reasons I'm falling away from him. And as I watched this movie again, I realized that he was more of a subject matter director and pushing for the cutting edge in that way more than he was breaking new ground as a filmmaker. Because Wall Street, as Tyler was mentioning, the sound design on this movie is pretty freaking atrocious. There are moments where I'm like, that does not sound like that audio is coming from the room they're standing in, like even remotely. And it just sounds cheap, or it sounds undone or whatever. There's even I thought that when I was trying to get a clip from the Gordon Gekko's Greed is Good scene, that the recording that I was using was crap. But when I watched the movie off of a legit like source, the same bad audio kind of crackled.
The same, yep.
You heard it too?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
What? You released this movie with that crackle? What are you doing? Like, you're an award winner now. You did Platoon. Like, what are you doing? Anyway, I still think the message is very crucial. I still think the message still applies today. What?
Almost messaged you off that promo. I was about to be like, so we didn't want to cut that, Snitty?
No, and like that's what I was like.
But then when I watched the movie, I was like,
right? Yeah, totally not me. I had nothing to do with that. I've been very keen on trying to get that right.
Yeah.
But so the sound design, pretty lacking. The soundtrack, I'm going to agree with Tyler. They could have just used trumpets, violins, and piano to make a dramatic score. It would have worked perfectly for this film. You'd even have like the, you know, when they're doing the Wall Street stuff, it's all pumped up and fast.
Yeah.
But no, they had to pick synth sounds for the 80s, obviously, and Frank Sinatra. And this is what I was telling Tyler. Frank Sinatra should be in movies about New York, not just because the movie happens to be set in New York. Like
in New York, right?
It didn't work because you're looking at Wall Street, not New York City. You know,
if Wall Street was made now, like this particular Wall Street was made now, that first song would be Jay-Z and Alicia Keys' New York.
It would, but it still wouldn't be appropriate. It's more
No,
appropriate.
that's what I'm
Pets.
saying.
Right.
That's what
Way
I'm
more
saying.
appropriate than Pets, right?
That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm like, okay. That's a little bit of song.
I don't know. So I see what you meant about
that.
the camera work law. I think the camera works, you know, he's not a bad director, but I also think that looking back, I think he was more hyped than he maybe deserved. And I'm just going to put this out there. And at this point, the last thing I remember from hearing from Oliver Stone was in like 2015, 2016. If he's still making movies, I'm not paying attention because he came out full supporting Putin.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, dude.
Yep.
You lost me. Sorry.
He pooping with Putin.
It's something like that.
Yep.
So as soon as I saw that, I was like, okay, I guess you can go left, you go tyrannical. That's cool. Okay. Good for you. So
I'll watch pre 2015 stuff.
Right.
To
right.
see. Because I'm curious.
He did make some interesting movies, and
because
he did
if that's the
adjust
case,
the
I can't watch
landscape
nothing then,
by
everybody's
making
terrible. You know what I'm saying?
I know. The more we, oh God. You guys
Everybody's
watch Cat
terrible. You ain't able
Williams?
to watch nothing.
Cat Williams coming out this
My
last
God.
week. Oh God.
Listen, I've seen clips. I haven't seen the whole thing, but I can't sit there for 2 hours and watch him like rant about stuff. I just go live your life, bro. Like I don't know what else to tell you to do. Like
It's
I don't
just
know what you're
wild.
trying to achieve.
Everybody's
It's a lot of stuff.
People are starting
It's a
to
lot,
unpack
yeah.
on each other a lot more lately, and it's been
No,
interesting.
they are, and it's been very sad and interesting. Yes,
It has. Daryl Hannah, to me, I think he didn't know how to light.
Miscast.
He didn't know how to light her or something because she's beautiful,
know how to
but
do her
not
hair
in this
neither.
movie. Like it was weird
You
in
know,
the first scene. Like
she was only pretty when she was wet. She was only pretty when she was wet. Like she was only
But
pretty
it,
at the beach.
like her nose was little weird in the first scene, and it was like, do you know how to light this woman? Because Blade Runner, she looks great, and we're talking 3 years later. She looks, and Splash is like a year after this or something, or a year before. Like it just didn't work. I'm like, this doesn't make sense. You've taken like America's sweetheart of the early '80s, and
this is such
It
an
was terrible.
80s film in the sense that like not the first scene, but like the kind of like the first time we kind of like see Charlie Sheen's character Bud. I think his name is being Bud is just hilarious. Just seeing him like in his office and all that kind of stuff, and he has like a his room or whatever, and he has a woman in the bed, and then she just walks past and she just titties out, and I was just like, this is so 80s right now.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
It's like,
if there wasn't cocaine
like,
and
80s
breasts, it's not an 80s movie.
listen, cocaine, boobs just flying, half naked. I was like, this is such an 80s film. The moment I saw it, I was like, this is such an 80s film.
Oh, and
you can always
synthesizer.
tell
You
like
gotta
the
have a little
80s
synth in there.
aesthetic.
Yeah.
You can always tell like the 80s aesthetic, and I was just like, she just titties just out. I was just like, all right, then I guess that's how we feel today this morning.
So why don't we go ahead so that we have time to talk about Saltburn, because I want to have plenty of time, and I just invited Brian to join us. Why don't we, since we kind of loosely...
We can go a little bit past 9 though, right? Do you think we go a little bit past 9? Because we started at like 7:30.
We can, I mean, we'll have about a half hour to talk about Saltburn if we just rate Wall Street now and let Brian join us. I don't think that, other than saying that you should watch this movie for the message, in my opinion, is worth more than talking about. I am going to say I rated this movie higher than I did this time around. Again, I the greed is good. The showing people what Gordon Gekko's like, crucial. I think that's important. But I think you can watch more modern movies to get the same exact concept.
So
in a weird way, this movie Greed could have been better.
That was so good. Greed was okay.
I don't know.
It was okay.
That was all right.
It was all right.
It was all right.
Not my first choice.
I was looking for more. I was looking for more in the sinful nature of the greed. I was kind of looking for more, you know.
We wanted like really scrape out all the greed, like get it all out.
You know, put a little bit of water in it, shake it up, spread it. You know,
get that into the sauce.
The greed.
Yeah, greed sauce.
All of the greed. You know what I mean?
I'm with you.
It was very greed light. It was very greed light. It was a thin greediness.
It was greed light.
Greed light.
It was greed light.
But for the 80s, it wasn't. But like, if you watch Wolf of Wall Street, you're like, oh, this guy was tame compared to other people.
For the time, this movie is like through the stratosphere. But for 2024,
yeah, no, it doesn't hit as hard. I will agree with you.
It's kind of soft on the palate. It's kind of soft on the palate.
So I'm going to give it.
Did he do anything wrong?
Since you asked, I will rate it first. I'm going to give it a 6 because I still think it's an important film.
Come on, 6.
But I'm going to give it a 6. And Brian is here, so don't say anything else because I don't know if he got to finish. But I'm going to give it a 6. Tyler, what do you give Wall Street?
I'm going to give it a 69. I'm going to give it a 6.
Give it a 6 as well. A 69, he says. And how about you, La? What do you give Wall Street?
I give it a 6 because I'll never touch this film again.
Yeah, no.
Probably, yeah.
But you agree, like there's some elements that are good and there's elements that are important. But yeah,
there are some elements that are really good. Like I said, like about the lighting and like direction and things like that. If you want to watch it from like a filmmaker's perspective, I say go and watch it. But like I said, I feel like this film is very much made for the time in which that it's set in.
It was, yeah.
So it's not a bad film. It's just that I got all this 2020 by the time 2024 type stuff in my brain that I was
That's
like,
what it was, yeah.
This is kind of light work, even though I can see this is kind of light work. I was like, I've seen worse things, and you know, Samuel L. Jackson chained a girl to a radiator. I've seen worse things.
That's a good
insider trading.
Tell Oliver Stone that this is light work.
This is light work, Ali.
I mean, for Stone, it is like this is actually pretty tame for most of the stuff he does. So yeah. All right, so we're gonna move on now that we. Oh yeah, did you finish it? Because if you didn't finish it, we don't want to make you rate it.
No, but I mean, it's not the first time I've seen it.
Oh, okay.
Either.
So give us just your rating or your thoughts.
I've seen it a few times. Yeah, I just needed a refresher for it. Yeah, I mean, I totally see where you guys are coming from, but I mean, the cast is freaking. There's one of those movies where it's like every time someone popped up a screen, you're like, oh damn, they're here. Oh damn, they're in. You know, so. Yeah. But yeah, it is
even the unnamed people in the background.
Yeah,
I was like, hey, that's my man from Warehouse 13. That's my man.
Yeah, exactly. But the camera works excellent. Like they really injected some energy. It could be really boring. You know what I mean? They're in these
for sure
floors and everything. These office buildings. Like the Oliver Stone camera was really great. I'd probably give it a 7 just because it's like. It's Wall Street is kind of one of those movies, you know, it's part of Oliver Stone's filmography. So, but yeah, I probably liked it more when I saw it earlier. Like,
yeah, I definitely get that though. Yeah, for sure.
That's exactly what I said. I used to like it a lot more than I do now. It's kind of degraded, not in a bad, just not its fault. It just is product of its time.
Yeah,
but not all movies can stand the test of time in that sense.
No. Right.
And so when you do find some that do, it's like, ooh,
check this out. It's a 2-inch screen. Like that did not.
That was wild.
I was like, cool. Like that's an iPhone. If you were modern, it would have been a BlackBerry or something, right?
Oh,
hey. We are ofviously unofficially sponsored.
We are sponsored by Essentia.
I do have a space here, Brian. Sony, if we do decide to put
Sony and DJI.
And DJI.
Yeah.
We were saying that this would be a good sponsor for the next movie. That maybe some people might need those after this next movie.
Shout out to commercials. They don't make commercials like they used to anymore.
No, they really don't. They actually put production value into commercials back in the day. Now it's just
car commercials. Car commercials, they come out of nowhere. Like I saw one that was about dementia, and then it was like Chevrolet. I was like,
what?
I was like wiping
talk about all the side effects, and then it's a car commercial. Is that what?
Yeah, I was like, okay.
No. Okay, I'm gonna say this real quick, and then we can get to Saltburn because I know we like a limited time. But Ty just made me think of something. It was like that commercial where like I think it's like an insurance commercial. It's about insurance. But I was crying watching the commercial because it was about a father and a son and how the son remembered his dad like building him a tree house, and then his dad was getting older and he was dropping stuff, and then he was like his son, the dad thought the son was about to put him in a home when he actuality he built a house for him in his backyard, like his dad built for him, and he was like, they were like, insurance, just I was just like, what is it, insurance? I fell apart. I was like, what are you doing?
Well, they've picked up on the fact that if we see a celebrity, if we see an advertisement in the beginning, we're going to turn it off. Yeah. They know that now. So they're going to give us little mini movies, and then they're going to be like,
give me real humans. Give me real. I'd rather do real humans. I don't believe that Zendaya has Verizon or whatever. I don't believe it. I know. I don't believe it. And if she does have it, she has a better version than I do. So like, I don't believe it.
No, I missed the even from just a few years ago, the Hyundai, you know, with all the gerbils or whatever in the cars.
Where they were just
some of that,
Kias,
you know?
The Kia,
Just give me simple stuff. Don't try to impress me. Show me your product. Show me how long it'll last, and I might buy. Like that's all I need.
Right.
Yeah.
That said, let's move into the movie.
RDJ won a Golden Globe, you guys. I'm assuming it's for Oppenheimer, but yeah.
I would assume for Oppenheimer.
Good job, RDJ.
He made me want to punch him, so I think he deserved that.
Right.
Yeah, he did a really good job on that.
He really did.
Well, the thing too with that was like Christopher Nolan challenged him to not be so RDJ in it. Right. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Which is difficult, but I think he accomplished it though.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. He talks about that too, how that was, you know, a lot of himself comes through some of his roles. And with this one, like, you really didn't.
He couldn't.
You didn't see that.
No, he wasn't nice enough.
There were moments, but that's like the tone of that was like the tone of his voice and things like that, which you just really can't help that this is how I scream. And if I scream like this is this person, I'm gonna scream like this is the other person. So like there were moments, but he killed that role, man. He was, I kind of blinked. I was like, oh yeah, that is Robert Downey.
Yeah. Right.
Oh, yeah.
He did a good job.
So let's get into this this movie called Saltburn that everybody's been talking about for weeks, and that I was going out of my way to avoid, and I kept hearing the bathtub, and that's all I'd hear, right? Which is weird.
That's kind of the problem. I'm gonna be a big defender of this movie.
No,
because I
don't
love
get me
it.
wrong.
But a lot of things. But the thing is, though, is like people keep focusing on these very surface level things,
right?
And that's all they keep talking about. When it's like, that's not the movie, guys.
Right.
Like the movie's this, like, you know. So there's a lot to this movie that people are not.
But I mean, that's not even the most shocking moment. And I kind of understand why. No, it's not. It's not at all. But it is a moment that you haven't seen in film before, and I think that's what's kind of like throwing people off a little bit. They're like, wait a second. But also, you know,
it was taken away from people actually wanting to dig in.
It's a really good film. Like,
yeah, you gotta, like, with this film, you gotta be willing to lap it up and really, you know, make sure you take it all in.
You know what I'm saying?
Damn.
I had to do it. I'm sorry.
Gotta be willing to, you know.
I saw this movie today. Like, I watched it this morning.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Anybody else watch it that freshly? You saw it today too?
I watched both of them today.
Both of them today.
I seen it in the theater. I wish I did, honestly. Like,
yeah, I had a pretty bad theater experience because like so many people were just like, well, first off, there's this young couple behind us, and like there was like it was quite a few people in the theater, but they kept talking. They kept fucking talking, and it was just like the guy next to me even told them to be quiet, and then they like shushed a little bit, but then they started getting louder and louder, especially during those specific scenes. They were not there to see a movie, basically.
Yeah,
you know, especially when those scenes came up. The one guy was like making a declaration to like everyone in the theater. It was like, this is the worst movie I've ever seen. Is this not the worst movie? Blah, blah, blah. And I literally turned around and I said, then get the fuck out of the theater.
Come on, Brian.
Like even if it is, like, watch the whole thing and then go tell people after.
Exactly.
Like I've walked out of theaters before because I've been like, oh, I don't like this. But I didn't get up and say, are you with me? Are you with me?
Who's coming with me? Right?
Who's walking out?
God, that was exactly.
That sucks, man. I'm sorry. This is part of the reason I don't go to the theater, because I've had enough of those experiences that I get sick of my $20 2-hour experience and being just that tainted by people. It gets frustrating.
Yeah.
So
it seems to be happening more lately too. But
Honestly, it's more
Thank God I
enjoyable
haven't
to
encountered
watch
that.
people walk out as I'm laughing
Yeah.
inside, like while they walked out. That's just
I'm
wild.
Like,
yep, get out
I'm
of
out here enjoying the film while you crying about it.
Exactly.
Thanks,
Yeah,
buddy.
Right.
Man.
I will tough this
okay.
scene. I will keep going.
So
I'll tough it up for both of us. Let's just
Yeah.
I was 100% impressed. I think I'm just going to go first because I never do, and it's rare.
Good job, Smitty. That's a lie. You do sometimes, but
Well, I'm getting better. So here, I'm getting better.
Yes.
So I'm gonna just take that and just run with it. All right. So Barry, what is? Oh God, I'm gonna mispronounce this.
Keegan.
Keogan.
It's
Keogan. It's Keogan.
Keogan,
That's right.
yeah.
It is
Keogan.
Keogan. Barry Keoghan. I
Those
saw him
Irish-
obviously
those
for the
Irish
first
names.
time. For me, was Eternals. This is the only other time I've seen him in a movie, and so I go in just own that. That's all I have, and he did good
You
in
the
that.
Green Knight.
I did see the Green Knight.
Yeah, he's in the Green Knight too.
I love the Green Knight.
Yeah.
How do I not remember him in
He's
that?
got a good.
I need to watch
He's a
that.
pretty. He's got a
Stop
good role
lying,
in that
Tyler.
too.
Stop lying.
Well, I have to say that his performance, damn, Oliver is a character that I kept just wanting to like a lot and then knew I shouldn't the whole movie. Like I kept wanting to like him. I'm like, I like you, but there's something off about you. You're manipulating people, but I still feel like there's something off about, like I kept feeling that feeling the whole movie. And I like this movie like a lot. This was definitely the movie deserves its praise. And if people can't get over those scenes, then they're missing the point and they're not understanding kind of the psychology of it all. And I was telling this to both La and Tyler before the show. It threw me off that the narrator was such a liar for so long that I started to think of I was Eloise, or is it Eloise? No, I'm saying that wrong. Elspeth, Elspeth's character, or another one of
Eloise,
one of the other family
it.
members. I felt like I was them being gaslighted at a certain point, rather than actually following along with the narrator, because he lied to me right up to the last minute. But I like his character. I don't know what the hell to say about it. There's something compelling about him. I'm not advocating for doing this. I'm not saying anybody should do what his character does. But there's still something about him that I really like. So that's going to be my initial impression. La, since you watched it today, let's head over there and see what you think.
Semen aside,
we call it jizz on this show. Let's just be clear.
I'm sorry.
Jizz.
Yeah. Sorry, jizz aside. No, I'm saying. I think people get really caught up in I think people get caught up in sexual stuff. I think people get caught up in that, and that's what they linger on. And it's okay to see stuff like that or to be a part of that, but it's just a part of a whole, I think. And people don't really pay attention to that. They're just like, oh my god. And they get all crazy and they don't know what to do. And I'm just kind of like, okay. So me watching this film, I kind of went in like Snitty. I didn't know anything about this. Just that he's in it and that Jacob Elordi is in it. That's the only two people that I knew was in it. And I was like, all right, let's see what this is about. And so I kind of just went in with like fresh eyes, like no judgment. And this film was like very interesting. It was just it was like just watching like the machinations of like a socio/psychopath. And like, but a very like, I don't know, I want to say very intense. I feel like they're all intense in a certain way in their own like ways, but like he's very intense in the roles that he chooses to play when he chooses to play them. Yeah. Like the role of like meek Oliver, but then the role of like dominating Oliver, but then he's very like strategic in those roles, like soft Oliver. Like he has so many different sides of him that I feel like Barry like killed, like no pun intended, all those roles. And to see that like he had this planned from the beginning, and the fact that we don't really get to see, like, I mean we do, but it's just in my mind, it's just me, we do, but we don't get to see why he does this. Because 9 out of 10 is like, this person wronged my family and that's why I want revenge or payback, or these people. You don't get to see anything like that. It's just like his obsession went from liking to loving to hating to wanting to be. And I think that was like a very interesting dynamic for a character. This movie was something else. I low-key want to watch it again that should already give you a touch of what my
I told the wife to avoid the show tonight so that she could watch it on
for sure,
touched.
like
You
for
need
sure,
to just
because
watch
like
this.
no, you don't. You don't usually need to watch it with like no outside people saying anything, which is why I'm happy that like I didn't hear anything from anybody about this. I really didn't even hear anything about the bathroom scene until I like Googled Jacob Elordi for a second because I just wanted to see how old he was like during this time, and it's an article out that's like how Jacob felt about the first time he read the bathroom scene, and I was like, click. I was like, we can't do that. Let me watch this movie.
Because then you watch the movie waiting for a bathroom scene. That's what drove me nuts about hearing it. Not that there was anything. I'm just sitting there going, "Where's this bathtub?" And then the bathtub shows up, and then it like because in this movie it pans away from him for a few minutes. I was like, "That was the bathtub scene? What the? Okay."
No,
the dude masturbated.
Kristen brought up a part.
You know.
Kristen brought up a part that I really love. Like so 2 things and I'll be done. I believed Oliver up until he became a vampire. That's all I'll say.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that because it is a lot of like there are a lot of vampiric elements in this. You know, like he has to get invited in.
It's a lot, and he has to get invited in.
I love
It's when they close the blinds, it's a lot of darkness. Like even his room is
the blood
dark
red
and,
room.
When he goes to like whenever he sleep in like in a pitch black like dark room. They have to open up the blinds, and he's always like, oh my god, like abrasive type of thing. But when he turns to a vampire, I was like, something's not right with Oliver. Like that was a moment because up until then I was like, oh okay, he's just like he's a little awkward and stuff like that. But then the moment he became a vampire, I was like, there is something sinister afoot, and I'm like, I don't know what's happening. And the second thing is the scene in the bathtub. A lot of bathtub scenes, could have been more than one, but the bathtub scene with the sister with Venetia.
Yeah.
And the moth dialogue, like Kristen was talking about, I was like, ew, my God. I was like, the acting in that scene, oh girl, was on point. I was like,
well, the way they
is feeling I was like, she's feeling every word, every part of this dialogue. I was like hanging off her word. I was like, she's fed up, she's tired, she can see what's happening, but she can't do anything about it. And I was just like, it was so good. I was like, that girl, she deserved something. She deserved a star or something. I don't know what she deserved. She deserved something though, because that scene that was a solid scene. But go ahead.
Let's go with Brian.
Yeah, so I saw this when it came out. And all like interruptions aside, I was still able to like enjoy it. It is definitely like I love Emerald, the director. I love Promising Young Woman, just because like there's so many, and just like Promising Young Woman in Saltburn, there's a lot of elements. She loves, metaphor and symbolism and hiding these little things. There's all these details that you pick up in Promising Young Woman the more you watch it. And I think and Saltburn is very much, I think, even deeper. So there's so much stuff in this. I mean, the whole thing with the labyrinth and the idea of the Minotaur and like the story of Theseus, like there's a lot of that in there, and like this vampire story. Like a lot of people have made this whole Talented Mr. Ripley comparison, which is like it's like a tiny sliver of that. Not even, you know what I mean? It's like like he manipulates these people and gets into their lives, but he doesn't like. But it's to a whole other level. Like he wants to literally consume these people, and become them. And
like a moth.
Yeah, and the thing I like too was like the pace that it happens at. Like it's kind of like the slow thing, and you're kind of ease the build up this thing, and then when it starts like kicking off, like things start happening like really quick and just like speed up, and like it's like when he is able to take care of his first victim, and then like each victim is easier to like take care of after that, but yeah, it's definitely one like La mentioned that I want to see again. And has been kind of frustrating that people have been so focused on like like a lot of the surface level stuff. It's a tough film, like I get it. It's one of those things where like I understand people not liking it and just being focused on that surface level thing, or thinking that, oh, it's a very surface level film itself. But it's like when you start I mean, there's been so many people that have like been able to articulate it better than I can. Like Jay Stoops did a really great one recently. There was another creator on TikTok who's from the UK and lives in the UK, and there's a lot of like stuff that we as Americans don't understand as far as like the rich over there and how it's very
well, they're royals too, technically, right?
Yeah, exactly.
They're
Yeah,
like
exactly. That's the thing.
They're like
Yeah.
distant royals, but they're royals.
Right. Exactly. Yep. So they have titles and everything. So that's a whole different element into it,
The aspect of rich and poor was absolutely a first act, like crucial. Like, and you start to hate them almost right away. You're like, you have a labyrinth. Fuck you. Like,
yeah. Well, and the thing too, like, is like this is a comedy.
Right.
Is what
it's like comedy,
it's a dark
comedy.
Dark ass comedy,
and a thriller. Like you don't get both a comedy thriller very often. Like that's not
right.
rare.
Yeah.
Or is
I mean,
rare.
Rosamund Pike, I mean, she is
man.
in this movie. Like Rosamund Pike is so good.
She was unrecognizable for me as Rosamund Pike because I've seen her and stuff, but she was unrecognizable to me. And I was like, oh, she's doing an amazing job. Yeah.
And Richard Grant did a great job too.
So for the longest time, I've never been able to take him seriously because I only see Hudson Hawk when I think of Richard Grant. And he's that over the top, along with I always forget her name.
Like so good in this.
He is. They all are. There's not an element of this movie that doesn't work.
Like she has this tiny role in it, but she like is so good.
It's memorable. It's so memorable.
So funny, but yeah.
And I bet she had the most fun playing that character.
Yeah, right.
Playing somebody that like aloof and kind of like, huh? Should I? It was just so good when she told her to go find like Annie or whatever. She was like, sure, yeah, I'll do that. She's like, so who is that? I'll figure it out. I'll figure. Like she was just so good in that role. Yeah, she was great.
Tyler, what did you think of Saltburn?
I loved it. I think I kind of like I'm kind of
simple.
That's it. Yeah. That's my review now.
Yep.
I kind of like with Brian on like that sort of thing. Like I think I'm glad I didn't really because I would see people's videos pop up like Saltburn, this disturbing scene, and like I like avoided it on purpose because I don't know. Like I've recently been on a thing where like if something's like really hyped up, I don't want to be like that guy. But if something's really hyped up, I usually wait a little bit and like. I don't watch it right away. Like I only watched Saltburn like maybe last week, I think it was, but finally got to it. And like like when it gets to those scenes, it's like, I like it's shocking, it's all of those things, but it's also like they're happening for a reason. You're kind of showing this, it's a character study of like how obsessed this guy is, like and how far he'll go, like kind of thing. That being said, I love this style of like, oh man, that's fucked up, and like whatever you thought was fucked up, they'll go like beyond that
a little, and
then they'll keep going. You're like, like a couple times I'm like, because I'm by myself in my room, I'm like, hello, I had to look around, is anyone watching me watch this? I feel like I shouldn't be seeing this, but I love that Barry
I think that's part of it too, right? Like it's
right,
they want to like give this feeling of like I shouldn't be watching this, like kind of thing.
Like I'm getting to know this guy more than I was supposed to.
Like, you're like, whoa. Yeah.
Barry Keoghan, like I'm glad this is like I would consider this like elite his like
totally
first kind of lead role, because usually he's playing like a side, like killing the sacred deer or like banshees. So I was just like, this is cool to finally see him sort of play that. And I think all the actors are sort of the casting is just so good. Like they use everyone to their advantage for like is it Elordi, the Euphoria guy. Usually he plays like the very intense and like, oh, there's something up with this guy. But like this one, he's very kind of like a big like he's kind of like a bear where you're just kind of like, oh, he's kind of sweet. Like he's kind of like, he's rich, so he can do whatever the fuck he wants. He's just kind of but like there's a sort of sweetness this time, and it's not as like I kind of felt bad for him by the time he got like Yaga.
Right.
Like
yeah.
And then that's I think that scene, once I was like, okay, so the guy that I was following this whole time, I was like, I get it, but like, I don't think you're very good either, though. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
yeah.
I was like, it's like literally eating the rich. Like,
yeah. And that was the thing too. I'm glad you mentioned that too, because like a lot of people were trying to like say it's this like eat the rich story, but not really, like because because it's so terrible. Like, you know,
I would-
like he's.
I would argue it's actually a story about how to climb the social ladder. It's like a giant metaphor on how to climb the ladder. You have to destroy the rich to become them. You have to live in their world to become them. There's like an element of that to it, because it's not that he didn't come from like perfectly good raising and money. Like,
Yeah,
we
he's a
saw his
middle-class
family's doing
family,
fine. Like,
yeah.
he had whatever he wanted. He probably didn't even get a scholarship to Oxford. His parents probably paid for it on some level. And yet he acted like he didn't. So he played the rich to being, look at me, poor me, I'm the poorest person you've ever met, and then use that to put their guard down, because the rich will tend to put their guard down to help the poor, you know, if you think about it.
Yeah.
So he used that to his advantage. And I think
that's
it's
what
more of
makes
a
it, like-
social ladder climbing metaphor to a degree, rather than eat the rich. That's just me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's what makes it like extra disturbing too, because like it immediately when you first like come in, you're like, oh, he's like kind of awkward and stuff. Like, oh, I can relate to this guy. Like,
Yeah.
shoot, I want to be like, yeah, like I would do the things that he's doing to get in there. And then as it goes on, you're like, nah, I probably would not go that far. I
Yeah.
don't know what he's doing now. Like,
Right. Well, like and they give a little like sign of things early on, like when he's totally willing to ditch that
Yeah.
friend early on, you're like, damn, okay.
that was cold.
So yeah, super cold. And I think, Cindy, there's an element of that, like what you're picking up on. I think too, and like I didn't come up with this on my own, but like it made me like realize like it was okay, kind of this metaphor, but it's also about like just consumerism and like these ideas that we want to have to like become this like status symbol. We'll do anything to get it, and what we like we're willing to
by any means.
yeah, and a lot of it is about consumption, you know, and like
Yeah.
it was just
The
like
movies,
a literal,
the
more of a literal
karaoke,
sense.
there are a lot of consumerism things kind of built into it. I see that totally.
Just- yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, this movie was filled with like hella avarice. It was just
Mhm.
like it was like wherever you look, even at the school, like the moment he walked in, there was a hierarchy already. Like he couldn't even like
Mhm.
Yeah.
like y'all mad at me because I got a scholarship and I buy my clothes from like
Mhm.
Myers, essentially, you know what I'm saying, or something like that. You know what I mean? Like you know, if I'm, you know, putting it into like a more of American like standpoint, like but I still got in though. Like I couldn't have gotten a scholarship if I wasn't smart enough to achieve to
Right.
get a
Mhm.
scholarship. You know what I mean? Like so it's like one of those things. Like they set him up for us to love him or like at least sympathize with him, because it's like we've all like been in places where like maybe somebody looked at us different or, you know, treated us a little bit different because of like status or however. So you automatically cling to Oliver's character throughout these moments. So essentially it's like we're the rich watching him and we're like, oh, we just want to take care of him and make him better. If only we were friends with him. And you know, it's one of those things where it's like I was like, why did he want to go here? When his little friend was annoying, but he was still like, he still wanted to be around you. He still
Right.
like thought you were cool enough to talk
Accepted
to.
you and mhm.
You know, he accepted you. You know what I mean? Like you were quiet, so he talked, type of
Uh-huh.
thing. We all know he had an agenda, but still, I was just like watching it. I was like, he talk a lot, but he's still a cool dude. Like you gonna you get played by these people, but you know, it was one of those things. Like my brain was like, I was already invested like the minute he showed up on screen. Like, and that
Mhm.
just goes to like the storytelling and direction and how they, you know, the acting and everything of like how I got so attached that when all this stuff came out, I was just like, well, dang, Ollie, you let me down.
No,
bro."
yeah, I started to feel bad for Felix. As soon as we see how much he lied to him, I was like, Felix, you know, it may have been a summer thing, sure, but there's nothing wrong with that either. And you're in college, like shit happens, like that's fine.
Mhm.
You can have a friend over for the summer. Who cares? Like I'm not gonna begrudge him for that. But I started to actually feel bad for the rich people in this, which is something I've never felt in most of these stories.
But no
Like
offense,
I'm usually like whatever.
But no
you
offense
know.
to like Felix and his family though.
Right.
Like I understand that, like, you know, this boy essentially came in, turned all lives upside down, and murdered you all, except for like Farley.
and
he the one who got out kind of like easy. He got to go back
Right,
home to his mama,
right.
even
Yeah.
though they're poor now or whatever. But still, you alive, baby. Like it's fine.
Mhm.
But for
So-
me, one of those things with Felix is as sweet as Felix is, he's still like you still need some work. Like he doesn't deserve to die. Let me just say
Right,
that
right.
he
Right.
doesn't deserve to die.
None of them.
But No, none of them do. None of them deserve to die. But it's one of those things where it's like, y'all ain't that great anyway. But I'm just saying, I'm not saying that they deserve to die, but it's one of those things where it's like, I do feel bad because like nobody should die in the ways that all these people had died. But it's like if watching Felix's character, it's like he was like, oh, I'm taking on a charity case like like my mom. Oh, I felt so bad for you. I'm gonna bring you into my world because I'm gonna make you better. I'm gonna make you a little bit better, and then I'm gonna discard you when I feel like you're too much. I'm giving you too much. And sometimes like watching this, I was realizing like part of me felt like his charity, like Felix's charity, was going to bite him in the end. And it obviously did. I didn't think it was going to go this way, but it did bite him in the end though.
There was always something like sinister.
Kristen mentioned in the comics, like he does this every year though, is the thing.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
No, every year, yeah.
It's almost like they get off on it, like doing that, like
right. And then he's so possessive. Right. He's very possessive of the friend, because it's like because it's one of those things. I've been through this before. Not this.
That's a sibling thing, though. That's just a sibling thing.
No. Not even a sibling thing. It's one of those things where it's like, you want me to be your friend on your terms, how you want me to be, when you want me to be it. And if I step outside of that, it's a problem. And it's one of those things where it's like, when you give yourself to another person, regardless of sexual anything, people can feel like ownership of you. Because it's like, oh, they give me all of this. And I noticed that like we have these moments, but they don't have these moments with other people. And I feel like that went into Oliver's character too, which is why he loved and hated him, because it's like, I hate you because of your status, but I love you because like we're so close and we're like best friends. And like you brought me home and you did all these things with me and you brought me into this world. So it was like this. I was like, Felix, he needs to be careful. But
I think he loved Felix because Felix gave him Saltburn. That's my opinion. I don't think he actually ever loved any of the people. They were all a means to an end. He wanted that castle. He wanted to be.
I think he loved Felix.
I don't know.
He loved Felix.
I don't know.
And I think that's why
obsessed with him. I don't think he loved him.
No. But I still think he loved him too. I think he was obsessed with him for sure. But I still think he loved him. But he loved Saltburn more, and it burned. It hurt him to the core that he had to kill somebody that he like loved to get what he really loved.
That would explain the grave scene. I mean, that would give us a reason for the grave scene.
With Felix still around, he couldn't have Saltburn with any of them around.
Right.
But I think the thing is too, Felix, you know.
Well, I think the thing is too is like, I think he was in love with him, but then he has this extreme rejection from Felix, especially after Felix finds out about all this stuff that he's been lying this whole time about his family, and it's like that was a really crazy, like a really good reveal too, when like they go to his house and you're just like, oh my god,
you don't think that was planned?
This sweet.
You don't think Oliver knew he was going to take him there? You don't think? I think that was still part of the scheme.
No.
I do. I think it was part of the scheme.
No.
No.
I also just thought,
because he still would have been able to do everything regardless.
Right.
They would have never known if the parents were alive anyway. But I don't think. I wonder if he wouldn't have like killed Felix though, because that's where that rejection comes from. Because like this whole House of Cards is coming down.
Yeah.
Might have left him for last, and then like maybe got with him if that's how it
went. Because I think it's one of those things where it's like, maybe if he never would have got found out, like Bryce said, he might have not have killed Felix. He probably would have killed everybody else, as quietly as he could. But the moment that it got out that his parents are still alive, Felix never looked at him the same. No. He got suspicious of him.
Well, the rock scene was such a sweet thing that Felix did for him. Like that was a beautiful moment. Like I was like, oh, I would love to do this for my family. That's how much I loved it. I was like, oh, this would be a neat thing to do. Like I liked it. But do you guys think?
When I was muted, Ty, when you brought up Jacob Elordi, when he was in those Kissing Booths movies, he started off kind of rough, but he played like a very sweet character, kind of like this. Not as rich and highfalutin, even though his character was still rich in those movies. But he wasn't Saltburn rich, but he still played like a lighter, kind of like sweethearty type of character. Even though he said he hates those movies, and I'm just like, you wouldn't have Saltburn.
Right. Do you guys think that Oliver killed Pamela?
No.
Funny. Yeah, I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Her dying literally was just a cool happenstance for him. It like worked in his favor. that she also
Yeah.
died, because now there's a string of people dying around them, which works for him, because if he wasn't there, that helps to some degree. I don't know. I wouldn't put it past him to have killed
I don't
her.
think so. I mean, I wouldn't put it past him, but also she wasn't
Yeah.
an obstacle to Saltburn, so I wouldn't
True.
see what was the point of killing her.
Well, she could have been an obstacle. She could have come back, or I don't know. There are various things with her character.
I don't know. I didn't see when that
just crossed
family
my
was
mind.
trying to get rid of her. I didn't see her as an obstacle. Like they wanted to get her up out that house.
Yeah.
They to get her about that. That was a funny scene. So, no, we should take you away from the new place. You don't want to be around here no more. Like she was
single flat. Oh, that's the best time of my life.
Oh,
That's good.
And
stuff.
then reverse it back to towards the end, she had a single flat
Right.
Mm-hmm.
to get away from.
And the husband
Saltburn
tried to. I liked that scene when he was like, "How much?"
Yeah. Try to pay him off. Yeah.
How much? And he
Listen,
obviously he gave
the
him some serious
tears-
cash because he left.
Yeah.
So
the tears in his eyes.
Yeah.
When he was just like, "How much?" I was like, "Oh my god, I'm breaking into pieces." Like that was some really good, like, just subtle at the table emotions on display type of acting. He's just like, "How much do I have to pay you to stay away from my wife?" Because now he could see it,
Right.
and I'm just curious.
each of them
on
could
how
see
he
it.
killed the
Right?
daddy.
So Felix
How
could
he
see
killed
it.
them?
Then the sister saw
How he
it.
killed him?
Then the dad saw
The
it.
mother is the only one.
But see,
who
that's
could
what made me
see
think
it.
of Pamela being killed by him, because he killed the dude when he wasn't around him somehow. He was definitely a part of that, even though we never saw it. We don't know how. So I just think anybody that dies in this movie, it's 100% Oliver. That's just me.
No, I get that. But my thing is,
Yeah.
I just don't see what.
I feel like
if-
she was
if-
gone.
if
though,
she-
like,
Practice.
Right,
by the
if
time
she-
was gone.
I feel like if she died
Practice.
and then he used that to get closer to the mother, I can be like, yeah, he killed her to prey on
Right.
her sympathies.
Well, he did.
But I don't think so.
He did
I don't
use
know.
Pamela to get closer to the mother. That's the first time he really opens up with her. Is he's like, "Hey, she was such a user," and she's like, "You're right." He plays into it with her, and so I don't know. I feel like
But she didn't die. She
she didn't
dead
die
during
till
that
after
time
that.
when they
I agree, but it's
Right.
still
Yeah.
like
That's I'm done.
there's still a sympathy factor. Where like, oh, your friend died. Like, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe there's some cut scenes that we didn't get to see. I don't know. It feels like there's a loose end there for me, but that's not a bad thing. Like the movie's still great. Like, and it's great conversation.
No, I
too.
get that. No, I get that.
We rated a
I'm just gonna say,
conversation
he didn't kill her.
versus a movie in an old episode that I got a clip from Aina for, and it's interesting because I always wonder if we think the movies are better or these conversations in some cases, and I almost feel like we should start rating our conversations at the end as well. Personally,
I'm here for it.
okay.
Honestly, one day I would like us just to come on here and have conversations without us reviewing movies.
Without movies, but then it wouldn't be the real study; it would just be the study.
I mean, we could talk about movies, but it's
that's true.
not
It
like
means
it's
without reviewing
regimented,
movies,
like
Oh, okay.
yeah.
without reviewing movies. Like I just feel like we could just sit here
The
because we
off the
talked
cup
before
episode,
the
basically.
Be like a
right before
movie
you push record and had us go live. We were like me, you, and Ty were just talking about like movies and actors and stuff like that, and I felt like that is still a good conversation
I agree.
to have.
I agree.
Yeah.
I was looking at some of our old episodes. There's some funny and ridiculous stuff in some of those episodes. We've had some pretty amazing conversations. That said, it has been an hour and a half, which puts us
divine.
at almost 6 o'clock. So this means I've gone longer than I told
Or
my
9
wife
o'clock
I
my
would.
time.
So why don't we rate and talk about what we're going to watch next week, and
It's about to be
we'll go.
hella Android season.
There's going to be so many deadly robots. It's not even funny.
And
Okay.
confusing time travel.
And
confusing.
yeah, we're gonna have to get into that aspect of it because they
I actually
kept,
don't want
they kept doubling down with it, man. They're just like time travel.
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense, but we're gonna make it more confusing.
Love it.
So why don't we go in reverse order? Tyler, will you go ahead and rate Saltburn for us?
I'm gonna give this 10 drain holes.
Mm.
Yummy, yummy. Slurp, slurp. Slurp,
Oh.
eater. 10 slurps.
I'm glad we didn't focus on it, but I do want to
Slurps.
mention that real quick. To me,
That's
it was
slurps.
not the jizz in the water that was disturbing. It was how much ass was in that water that was disturbing to me.
Right.
Just
It's
putting
the
that out,
chips.
right?
Can I say one
love
thing about
chips.
that scene that
Sure.
I thought was a little deeper than just it being like shocking?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
specifically his character, he just out of his grasp, like it was going down the drain. Whereas everyone else, he got to do the whole like cherry cheesecake thing with her. We got the other dude with that was weird. That was a lot. I was like, man, this scene is not cutting. Like, can we cut away?
Yeah.
I was like,
it was meant to make you feel awkward.
Like, hello.
Yeah,
that wasn't in the script.
Yeah,
either.
Phoenix is the only one he couldn't be intimate with.
That grave scene, like what he
does.
That's
right.
What he does in that grave scene was not like fully in the script. Like she kind of just let him go, and like
I love that.
That was the thing she loved about working with Barry. He was fearless in this.
Well, the last scene shows us that.
Yeah,
the dude is running naked.
I love it. I was like, come on, guys.
I was like, that was pretty great.
Yeah.
There was that Austin Powers moment.
Like as it was going, I was like, oh, please don't tell me about this.
Oh yeah.
No.
But there was an Austin Powers moment at the end where they cover him up so they don't get the full frontal. You know.
Right.
I mean, but you still saw a side frontal.
I mean,
that dick was still present.
He's definitely he's packing. I'm just saying.
Shout out to his wife. I was like, all right, Barry. Like, all right now.
Brian, on that note, what did you think of Saltburn?
Really loved it. Like it'll probably be one that I get in my collection. I think Emerald is 2 for 2 right now. This is her second film. Like, it's crazy.
That's crazy.
Well, she's much like why am I not thinking of her name? Barbie.
Greta
Gerwig.
Yeah.
Only has a handful of movies under her belt, and it is popping off. Like, there's some.
Yeah,
I'm with you. Good stuff.
Yeah, so I give this one a 9. It was like, it's one of my favorites of last year. Yeah, I give it 9 gravestones, or 9 graves with holes in them.
9 glory graves. Like,
oh, glory graves. That is dark. That is dark.
I mean,
are you going to get a spiritual hand job in a glory grave?
Not...
Like, what are we getting here? I'm a little.
Can I use that after you're done?
You never know. Person loves you enough.
Ray, if you're here, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I know.
La, what did you think of Saltburn?
The person you love the most. I'm sorry, my head was itching. I give Saltburn a solid 9. Okay. It's artistic, but not too artistic to the point where I want to throw up the art.
Right. It's not pretentious.
It's intriguing. Exactly. It's intriguing enough that like I want to go back and watch it to see. Now I want to look in the background to see what I missed.
There's so
throughout
or rewatch
like,
Oliver the whole way through. Like
we didn't even talk about like
design,
the significance of that like little marionette box or whatever it was,
where he put all the rocks of their names, and he's like, because he played
like,
them all like puppets. Because that's like, it's like he moved them. It was if that's one of those old school ones
like
where you got to
ended
move
on
the
that
thing around. He moved all of them around, and he just got all of their names on the rocks on top of the thing.
So this is what it means to be a real life director. That's really what Oliver is. He's a director, but in real life, no film.
No, for sure. He just moved everything around the way he wanted. And I also like the ending scene where they're all at the funeral and then like everybody's walking away, but Duncan is still there. And then he turns and Duncan just turns and walks away. Because Duncan is like, I can't do nothing. I serve you now because she signed everything over to you. So
I heard the thing that Duncan is kind of like, I think she said is like Duncan is Saltburn, like in a weird way.
Right.
Like
so you can't get rid of Duncan, but you can get rid of everybody else around Duncan. I feel like Duncan had his card the moment he walked through the door. Duncan was like, I don't like it.
Right.
I think he treats everybody. That's my opinion.
Why you hear this?
Probably.
Why you hear this early? Why you hear this early?
Yeah.
We had a set time to pick you up. Why you hear this? I think Duncan, from the moment he got there too early, Duncan was like, and I'm watching you.
You don't eat soft-boiled eggs? What's up with that?
Right.
Yeah.
And you could tell he
that's
didn't
like
like
a class
him too,
thing.
because he didn't. He asked him what kind of eggs he wanted. He told him he didn't give him the eggs he wanted. I was like, he don't like you, bro. I was like, Duncan don't like you because those wasn't fried. Those wasn't fried over easy. Like,
how can you walk into a room with brunch and not see the spread against the wall? It's just me. Like, how could you not see all that food? I'd be like,
I mean, if you didn't
dig in, you know.
But I just felt like it was against the wall and he just walked straight in. I mean, my thing is he just didn't see it. But also I think he was learning what to do in that because he didn't know.
Or he already knew and he was playing them.
Or he already knew, but I also felt like he was just like let me see what goes and what doesn't go, like type of thing.
Yeah,
like,
that's true.
I'm gonna be here.
What,
I'm gonna be here.
What can
soon.
I get away with? Like, yeah.
Right. What can I get? Like, what can I do?
Well,
Can I do?
no,
But I
that
give
makes
it
sense.
9.
I like it because he was doing it socially too with each person, right? How far could he push it, right? That makes
he
sense.
was, he was asking like when he was asking him that chick at the table questions, like, so who are you? How long have you known them? How many years have you been married? Why are you all in my business?
Yeah.
and she answered like I would have many.
I love that she's like, I have
She-
2. Wait, no, I mean 3 kids. I'm like, oh Lord, you do not spend a lot of time around your children if you don't know how many you have.
Yeah, I give this film 9 fangs. Yeah.
Oh.
I am going to give this film a 10. I will be watching this movie again. I'm going to insist my wife watch it and I'll watch it with her. This is the way movies should be made.
Yeah.
The
cinematography, man.
Yeah.
It's like one of my
This
favorites.
movie is
of the
great,
year.
man.
Like, the aspect ratio was very specific. Like like they talk about that too. Like how
certain scenes are framed, how certain scenes are like, even the scene where he's like, you see that from the trailer, I think, or like from like the clips that you see
he's
from
silhouetted.
his back.
Silhouetted.
You can see his back when his head is like down, and I'm just like, I'm like, that's a good scene, and just like little things.
The little things. See, this is the kind of movie I swear we could do 2 hours on this movie alone, easily.
Sure.
All the little elements of real that were in this movie. The toilet with the poop streak, the puke on the sink. There were elements that were constantly like visceral and just real life things that you might see in a public restroom or at a friend's house or something that you wouldn't, if you don't clean your toilet. And then of course it showed the servants having to go and clean all that shit up, which was another element of showing them, the status that they were, that they could just literally shit all over their property and the next day it would be perfectly clean.
Yeah.
So
I felt so bad for the servants and everybody because after the party, that house was trashed. That house was like terrible. And here's the thing: I hope with the amount of money that this family has, which seems infinite. Okay, that money seems infinite. I'm just gonna say they have an infinite amount of money. It hurts my soul. I hope they get paid correctly because that's. It's only like a handful of them. It's only like maybe 10 of them. Because when he walked out the door, you saw everybody. Right. It might have been like maybe 10 of them, but that's a mansion. Like that's that property is
Duncan
ridiculous.
Drives a Mercedes. Like I'm just saying.
But is it Duncan's car? Or is it the family?
It's his car.
Like, that's
no, it's his car. He gets paid. There's no way you're running a building like that and not getting paid. No way.
You don't know though, because like if you're a rich family, you might pay him
the
a whole
loyalty is what they're paying him for. Like he's so loyal to the family.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I'm talking about everybody else though, because Duncan don't.
They got to do what he says. So like Duncan, pick the right people.
So that's what I'm saying. Of course, he gets paid the top dollars, but I'm talking about everybody else that got to like clean up. That he. But also, I think okay, because we got to go. I know, but I like the fact that like. I like the fact that Felix is like the emotional glue of that family. And when he died, everything shattered. Like Duncan couldn't even close the blinds. The like everybody was going crazy.
Oh yeah, Ollie knew that too. That's why he
and so it was just very interesting to watch. Like, and I'm very curious too. I'm gonna pose this question to y'all. Y'all answer it, and then I'm gonna stop talking. Because I did like this film, obviously. But I just posed this question. Do you think Oliver would have killed Felix if Felix would have returned like a portion of his love, like would have accepted that he lied? Do you think he would have killed Felix?
I do, because I think that his ultimate goal was always Saltburn from the moment of the get-go. It was never Felix was a bonus, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't think he fully believed that he would like fully return his love. I think like we had mentioned earlier, he may have saved him for last, maybe, but
say he did return his love. Do you think he still would have killed him? But say he did return his love.
Yeah, I think so. I think
okay,
because I think like he wouldn't have ever fully returned it, but
it would have just caused problems later on.
It would have been
because that's the only one of the trio of Ron, Hermione, and Harry that he didn't get to have some type of sex with or some type of sexual encounter with. No, he's gotten very close.
No, he would have been Felix in this case would have been the other chosen one rather than Harry. So
Wow.
Yeah. Anyway, because Harry, never mind. We don't need to. Yeah.
Wow.
Anyway, you brought it up. I apologize. That said, I'm going to go to the poster wall because, like I said, we will be watching the Terminator movies over the next month. If you've never seen all the Terminator movies, I don't know where you've been. Please watch them again so that you can join us and talk about them as we go through them.
I feel like this is a demented Harry Potter, though, if you think about it. Like Oliver is the Malfoy that came in and killed everybody.
Oh, I didn't even put the fact that his name is Oliver together with the fact that Oliver Twist. Like that didn't even cross my mind. Please, sir, may I kill another one of your family members?
Some more. Don't forget to some more.
Some more. That said, this has been The Real Study and talking about thrillers.
Before you go, everybody, please do me a solid and follow all of us on social media. Follow The Real Study as well. We talk about a lot of things separately and together.
We have one of those. What was that? Threads. We have a Threads now.
Yeah. We have a Threads. So yeah, go on there. Yeah, follow us on all social media. Join our Discord. We love to, take in your review, take in your reviews, or take in what you want us to review. Become a real student today. Yeah,
I like that. I like it. All right, guys. Catch us next week. And again, don't forget to suggest movies if you have them. We're always open to suggestions and ideas. And we'll see you when the apocalypse happens in 97.
Come back.
Oh,
yes. Ooh, nice.
That was just not even that was just a cum joke. It wasn't even for something.
We'll see you around the drain.
Thanks, Kristen.
Oh.
Yeah.
Bye, guys.